This is going to be the most definitive, the most critical, the most important analysis and evaluation of the Macron and Candace Owens libel defamation suit that anybody is going to give you. Anybody is going to give you. Because, well, you'll see why. I'm going to give you a couple of areas to discuss, and I want you to understand something. This is not about whether we like Candace Owens or whether we don't like Macron, or I love saying the Macron, or there's nothing to do with that. Nothing. Do you hear what I'm saying? This is about the facts of the case, the realities involved in what's happening here. So don't get upset if I say anything that hurts your feelings about Candace Owens. Everything is not personal. Sometimes I talk to you great people and you take everything so personally, but I like Trump. It's like, well, I like him too, but it has nothing to do with this. But we don't analyze news based upon whom we like or don't like. I don't understand it, but I digress. Now let's go through a few things here. First of all, a couple of things. Number one, the thing that bothers me more, if I represented Candace Owens, or I could say if I represented the Macron, I would say, let me tell you what is going against Candace Owens. Don't take this the hard way. She comes across mean, nasty, vindictive, mean girl. Do you hear what I'm saying? Mean girl. You may not want to hear this. You may not like this. It may not be something that you care to hear, but it's the God's honest truth. She gets in, and that's why she is so loved. You love when she's mean, when she snarls, when she... You love it. It's one of the reasons why she's so popular. I mean, she takes it personally. She says, you're not going to... I've just begun to fight. I will rest my career on this. Okay. You got it. Like Jack Reacher taught us. Remember, you wanted this. And you love this. You say, you get him, because you don't have to pay a dime. If she loses to the president of France and his wife, you're not going to pay anything. If she's off the air or you don't hear about her anymore, you'll say, oh, well, and you'll move on to the next one. So you're lulling her. Look, she's making a deal with you. I will be Candace Owens. I will be this angry person. But you've got to watch me, and you've got to support me. And you say, okay, it's a deal. But don't forget, Candace, the moment somebody replaces you, they like you even more. Or if you get bumped for some reason, you're history. You're Elvis. You're gone. And they'll forget all about you. Remember Michelle Malkin years ago? Maybe it's a blast from the past. I don't know where she went. She just disappeared. Okay. All right. And somehow, like they say, graveyards are filled with indispensable men. That's number one. So her perfervid focus on this stuff is what you love about her. Okay? Great. That is what would scare the hell out of me. Let me tell you what my fear would be. My fear would be to get a hold of a jury. And the jury sits there and says, why is this woman so hell-bent on saying that this woman, Macron, is not a woman, or that she's a man? Now you're going to say, well, wait, what? What are you talking about? What is she doing? Why is she so mean? Because Michelle comes across, and if you get a bunch of women on that jury in particular, be careful even more so. Because that can go either way. Okay? Because they're going to look at this Brigitte Macron, and they might say to themselves, what if somebody says, you're a man? I know this, you're a man. And if that jury says, this Brigitte Macron didn't hurt anybody, plus she's not even in let the French people worry about that. What the hell is Candace Owens worrying about? Why is she doing this? I know this. And if they get the impression that there's something wild and frenetic and perfervid and dangerous about her, the ferocity of her attack, you can forget it. They might say, where's the pen? How much do you want? We're going to teach her a lesson. Why? Because we don't like you. Why do you think E. Jean Carroll won her case, that essay case against Trump? Why? Because Trump did anything? Because they hated Trump. They hated him. You think they believed her? Maybe they theoretically did. But they make statements about the parties, not the level of proof. Remember that. Like someone said, history is based on biography. And lawsuits are basically the personality, because it's that prism that you see evidence. And don't give me this business. I heard somebody, it was on one of the shows, say, it's going to be very difficult for her to prove actual malice. My ass! Actual malice, reckless disregard for the truth, knowing it's wrong. When you sit there and they say, where is your proof of this? And the jury says, yeah, where'd you get this? Where'd you get this? I saw a picture of a dude who I think was her, and then she says, no, that's my brother. Don't give me that. And if they say, okay, Candace, what's your proof? Well, I'm talking to. It'd be one thing if they said, and she didn't. She didn't show this. What if she says, why? Because I'm talking to her OBGYN. I'm talking to her physician. And the guy he showed me pictures. She has no uterus. He's a man. I got pictures. I've got something. And if she says, no, these are my daughters, this is a birth certificate. And then the kids say, Mama, why did this woman say this about you? I don't know this, Candace Owens. What did I do to you? Macron. Oh. And if I don't know if I heard this about the reason why she believes it. I can't verify this, but I heard this Sagar Andretti, or whatever his name is, from Boiling Point. He said that there was evidence that she claims that perhaps Macron may have been installed by virtue of some kind of Illuminati's. I don't know about that. But if she comes across as some kind of a conspiratorial nut, that's another problem. I'm going to say something to you which I think has nothing to do with this, but lends a little insight into Candace. And you might say to yourself, what is he talking about? I like to know what motivates people. Out of all the topics in the world, what is it, Candace, that gave you this level of ferocity? This absolute fierce, combative, this I don't know what the word is, but this focus. By God, you put everything on this. What was it? I think that there's a very interesting story about Candace Owens. And it's a story that I'm just interpreting, and this is just my opinion. My opinion that has absolutely nothing to do with any kind of fact, but just my just being Freudian. Candace Owens is, some people have said, depends how you look at it, lovingly or derisively, that she is a white woman trapped in a black woman's body. That her sensibilities, her identification, her thinking, her voice, her accent, for lack of a better word, her style, her wherewithal, all of these things are somehow a part of this thing, dare I say, this aspect of her as seeing things through the conservative lens. She sees things through the conservative lens. She doesn't see things the way regular, quote, black folks might see things. Isn't that interesting? She might see things differently. She might actually espouse, for the most part, a lot of ideas which many people in the black community, historically, may look at her as some kind of, I don't want to say the Oreo, Uncle Tom and all this stuff, but you know what I'm talking about. And I'm sure she'd be the first one to say, oh, of course. In fact, that's one of the things which lends to her, dare I say, her charm, but also her focus. That she is this authentic person who is speaking the truth, and you need her sometimes to say things that a white woman would not be able to say. And you need her almost as a stalking horse, so to speak, to be able to enter enemy camp and say things reflecting exactly what you're saying because they're correct. But by virtue of her demographics, her racial demo, she can say them and you can't. Which I'm sure must have at some point in her life, must have led some mean people to say some mean things about her blackness, her negritude, her, what am I trying to say? Her legitimacy, her honesty, her ability to really speak the truth. So they've called into question her authentic part. And I'll bet you, by virtue of that, I'll bet you that there's a part of her that hates the inauthentic. People who claim to be something that they are not. And the reason why she knows something about this is because of the particular worldview that she feels because of who she is. So Brigitte Macron is the ultimate in Candace's mind. Again, I'm just positing this of inauthentic, claiming to be a woman when you're not. It's something which might this is not a legal argument, but it goes to show you sometimes what is the motivation behind it. That's also very important during parts of cross-examination, if it ever gets to that point, because this thing is not going to trial. There's no way. Okay, the next point to understand. I don't know what her proof is, but in reference to Mr. Sager, you better believe you can prove malice. You better believe. If that jury says, wait a minute, where did she get this evidence from? And if it comes down, and I don't know, we haven't seen discovery, I don't know the first piece of evidence, but if a jury, hypothetically, were to ever hear that the sole reason why Candace Owens actually believed that somebody was a man was because what some French rumors had been, and pointing out incorrectly that that they believed her brother was in fact she, they will break it off in her. They will crucify her. If that's it. Because let me tell you something. Can you imagine if all of a sudden Brigitte Macron were to say, okay, let me show you. And what if they bring in doctors, pictures of, I'm being crazy, okay? I'm being crazy. Pictures of genitals. You remember during the Michael Jackson thing, they said, were there any descriptive marks, anything odd, anything about his particular genitals that might, because he had vitiligo, there might have been a dare I say, a piebald markings of his exterior genitalia. If some doctor comes in and says, I have inspected her pudenda, she is 100% a woman, 100%. I don't think they're going to show pictures of it, but I've got this, and this. This is a lab test. Would you is Candace going to ask for some kind of an independent investigation? I mean, if it gets to the point where if she is a woman, and I have no reason, I don't know anything, but if she is absolutely positively 100% woman, and you can say, here it is, She may look like her brother, but you know how that is. Sometimes especially when you're younger, boys look girls. Who knows? You haven't even hit puberty yet. You don't even know. You're in that weird kind of twilight zone. They will destroy her. That jury will hit her with punies, the likes of which she's going for a compensatory, but also punitive damages or punies, exemplary damages, smart money, money to teach her a lesson and to dissuade other people. They're going to break it off. And then if it keeps going. Now, watch what Candace does. Candace today, Macron, I think, acknowledged, I read this very, very cursorily, acknowledged Palestine or whatever. Candace is going to claim that somehow this was a conspiracy. I believe, I'm just guessing here, that this is a part of her absolute, adamant, anti-Zionist, because even that, she speaks with this ferocity and desire. Max Blumenthal, Aaron Monte, Katie Halper, others speak about this constantly. They know more about the subject of Palestine and allegations of genocide and apartheid and the like. They never lose their temper. Never. Laura Loomer, who is maybe her closest counterpart, never loses her temper. Like this Anna Kasparian. Have you seen her? She goes berserk. When people really don't understand the issue, they scream a lot. That's all I'm going to tell you. So she has this, she's 110 miles an hour every time she does anything. Every time she does something, she's out of her mind, angry. Angry. Why? What is this thing? I'll bet she claims somehow this is, some kind of a Zionist revenge or something. She's got to watch this because she loses her mind and stuff. She gets so angry. But you, the consumer, love it. But Candace, I'm telling you, the people that love your stuff, they ain't going to pay the bills. And as soon as you get the like Joe Rogan, remember when Joe Rogan had to come out and basically say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean about the COVID, I didn't know. Joe Rogan thought, I'm not going to lose this deal. Or Joe, very smartly, said, I'll say whatever you want. I'll sign a confession, anything. You think Candace is going to do that? Now, she's got some points to make about why didn't they show us a copy of the complaint. Yeah. Two inside. Now, let me also leave you with this one. Okay, listen to me very carefully. Don't you think for 1 minute that Michelle Obama ain't watching this. And if there's anybody who really, let's face it, not everybody in our country is talking about Brigitte Macron. But everybody's been talking about Michelle. One with Big Mike. You've heard these jokes with Joan Rivers and others and all that. Now Candace is not veered into that. And I personally, for whatever it's worth, I personally do not believe, nor have I ever been led to believe, or thought for a moment, that Michelle Obama is a man. Even though there's this clip of Obama supposedly saying Michael, I don't know if that's true. Listen, with AI, clips and pictures are going to mean nothing. But let's go further. Let's assume that Michelle Obama says, you know what, I want to do this. I want to shut some people up. And let's assume further that even though a civil verdict is not precedent, it is not stare decisis, because it's not an appellate matter, and it's just basically an individual trial pronouncement or verdict based upon those particular, allegations and the like. But don't think for a moment that people are going to say, you know what? And then we're going to get into a new thing where this notion about the public figure means nothing. People don't care about regular negligence versus malice. Nobody knows what that means. People don't even know the difference between reasonable doubt and presumptive preponderance of the evidence in civil cases. They just go whether they believe something, whether they believe it is true. They don't change what they believe in by virtue of the level of proof adduced. they are not going to be able to sit there and say, well, if this were regular negligence, you would have won, but you have to prove malice, and you don't. Oh no! If that jury gets pissed off, and if they just start, they're gonna pull. Oh, Candace, when she is at her fire-breathing best, when she does this street thing, she has one of these great pronunciations like STs, street, and and the stupid, just wait till she's just seething, and that jury says, damn, they may not know who she is, and they're gonna pick the best. They're gonna pick. Now remember, if Candace Owens walks in there and Brigitte Macron says, okay, you have me, I have to say it for you, I am a man, and I can't believe that this fraud has been for years circulating. If that happens, Candace Owens will be taken out on a sedan chair. She'll be the next saint. I don't think that's going to happen. There's another issue here. When you start saying things, you start using the word pedo, and you refer to her as that. Now we're getting into some interesting, and I don't want to bore you with it. We get into these weird things about libel per se, libel per se, libel per quote, presumed damages. If you get a jury instruction that says, if one of the allegations is that you were that the plaintiff was accused of committing a crime, remember, falsely. Defamation is the statement of fact. It's not an opinion, not whatever it is, and not a loose opinion, but almost and this becoming Brigitte is almost like a documentary. It's a statement of fact. If they try to say, no, that was just my artistic opinion. Oh, no. Good luck with that one by virtue of the way you did. Anyway, when you start using that, as my good friend Sean Albert calls it, a PDF file, you're talking about some serious stuff. Serious. And God forbid you get an instruction that says, if this was alleged, damages are presumed. Meaning you don't have to prove anything. Just prove it was said. In the old days, libel per se and used to be if you accuse somebody of committing a crime, somebody of having a loathsome disease, which in the old days I think was leprosy maybe, and then maybe later AIDS later on. Or if you accuse a woman of unchaste character, this is libel per se. Damages are presumed. You've won. Just prove this was said and that they're not true. And so I will talk to you again about this. But I want everybody out there to listen. I want everybody out there to listen. You are not immune from this thing because you are a podcaster or you're on YouTube or you're whatever. It doesn't work like that. I don't think in the case of Brigitte Macron that you could say, what damages does the president or the First Lady of France, what did little old Candace Owens do? With all the crap, they can go through the list of things they can accuse her. She might have been accused of this for 20, 30 years. And then little old Candace comes along. What? Her statements are so terrible that that's what pushed her over the edge? You're right. Very logical. But if that jury sits back and they say, you know what? We don't like her. That could be me. This is a woman, it's a middle-aged, I don't know what she's, 70, I have no idea. She's, whatever her age is. They might look at her and say, we don't like this. Let me check this out, I should say. Brigitte Macron, age. She is 72 years old. 72. Candace is 36. Exactly half. And Emmanuel Macron, 47. Kind of interesting, isn't it interesting? Kind of a perspective. So what I'm telling you is that you better be careful. You get a jury who listens to that. You get a jury who comes along and they will say, we are going to teach you a lesson. Women have enough problems being older. She may not be the most. She kind of looks like E.T. a little bit. Okay, fine. So what? But we don't like that. And now I'm telling you, if they come across and she loses the personality battle and they just, I'm going to talk more about this. Watch what I'm saying. What do you think? You as a potential juror. And try to dismiss yourself. This isn't about, do you like her as a podcaster? Do you like her as a person? Let's talk about this with the potential civil exposure of this. Okay? So like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. Subscribe. 80% of the people who watch our videos don't subscribe. I don't know why. So to keep us in the HOV lane, subscribe. And I've got some questions for you. Go in the comment section. And as we always say, comment as you see fit.